Yeah.
Hello, guys. Welcome to It's Always Something. I'm your host, Christopher, and this is also your host, Rick, and that's your host, Carlos.
Welcome to It's Always Something podcast. We're here with Danya, a special guest. She's a Starbucks employee and our guidance for BTC podcast group. Welcome,
Donya
Danya.
was also a former BTC member and a former member of the It's Always Something podcast. We have her here with us right now. Right.
Hello, how
Hello,
are you
how are
guys
you guys
today?
today?
We're doing good. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Good, how are
So
you?
Donya, I have a question. Yeah, we actually have a few questions. We have a large set of questions. Uh, what made you join BTC in the first place? And can you also like before that like make a little introduction of what BTC is as
Yes.
well?
So what made
What made me join BTC was I was having a little trouble at school. I got in trouble and stuff, and at the same time, um, my parents were told by teachers, my sister, that I should join BTC to help me throughout my education through my high school, and it would help. Did not believe it, so I went because they also said that it gives me community service hours. I needed it to graduate, so I went thinking nothing about it. And then over time, I grew, and it helped me educate. It helped educate me. Know that I did do some of the stuff that I wasn't supposed to do still. That's the point of being young. You do and you learn. But BTC has helped me now with a lot of like school, helps me be educated on drug prevention, helped me with my mental health a lot. And it has helped me educate other youth with drug use. And we're both very similar at that point.
What is BTC?
So Be the Change Coalition. It's usually for students that are in high school, and it's a youth-led group where teens can express themselves and have research about drug prevention and educate others about it.
So, what made you like guide the new generation of BTC of a podcast group?
Um, what hap- what made me guide the next generation BTC is that I wanted it to keep going. Also, it was a time where for like 2-3 years we had no students in BTC. We only had the old ones, and it was coming from COVID. And all of us wanted BTC to keep going. We wanted to keep educating people about BTC because it was very hard from our perspective to like um, have BTC end after COVID. And so it was a way for us to actually be facilitators than just be the students.
How many people in BTC when it was only in Zoom or like online?
So BTC had about like when it was during COVID three, it was me, two other girls, and we usually just did podcasts and we did summit in the end, but usually it was podcast based because it was hard to do other things when you're through Zoom. But when I was not during COVID, it was during school time. There was like 12, and we did all of it. We did research group, we did the research, we did the podcast. There wasn't actually a podcast at that time, but we did other summits for other schools. We did the big summit at IBL. We also did like surveys and all that. So we did it all on our own. Something that we didn't have before, or what we don't have now.
What motivates you? What motivates you to come back to BTC and guide a younger new generation?
Can you repeat that, please?
What motivates you to come to BTC and
Chris, I think I covered that.
you
We
to
covered that already.
come back to BTC and guide a newer generation?
That's what she just answered. Chris. Okay. You have another
So what made me
question to
come
ask?
back to BTC was wanting to keep it running, like I've stated before. It has helped me a lot, and I wanted it to keep going.
All right. Can we talk about like what other groups there are in BTC, like apart from podcasts? Like, what other groups are there currently?
So there is this summit group where they the ones that organize the summit in IBL talking about issues that they feel is very important during the moment and something that they believe strongly about. They do that one every year. And then there is a podcast group, and the podcast group is us. We're the ones that talk about issues. We talk about BTC, we let them know what we're doing and all that. And then there is the research group where they give us information. They talk about drug prevention. They research all of these informations. And then there is social media group, and they're the one that bring out all of our information that we have found.
Thank you. Thank you for asking that. You have any questions, Chris?
You mentioned something about a summit group. Tell me what the summit is and what they're like.
So the summit group is it happens every year. It's in IBL. It's March 18th, but this will be talked about later on more. But right now, they usually have 2 workshops, and they present for IBL and kind of like do workshops, do little icebreakers and stuff, and they present their topic.
That's pretty interesting. Like so do you just like present to like middle schoolers, like the teachers, or like what?
We present to middle schoolers and parents.
And when is the next summit gonna happen?
March 18th.
All right, mark your calendars.
ABL, right?
Could we ask you some personal questions?
Yes, you can.
What do you do outside of BTC?
So outside of BTC, there's another part of my internship that is called Alternative to Suspension. I do that. And then I also, out of BTC, I work at a bakery. Not Starbucks anymore, so you can stop with that joke. And then I am also a college student at College of San Mateo, who is transferring in fall. Still didn't know. I kind of have an idea what school I want to go to, but I still don't know which one I'm choosing.
What are the top 3 choices of schools you have in mind?
Okay, that's a good question. So my backup school is SF State. But the 2 schools that I really want to go to is Framingham in Boston, and then CSU Fullerton.
Very cool.
So again, something about your personal life. You mentioned again in the question that in the answer for your why did you join? You said you did something that you weren't supposed to do at school. May I ask what that was?
You can, but I'm not gonna go too much in detail. But I was hanging out with the wrong crowd. I got caught doing something that wasn't allowed to do on campus, on a a winter like fest or something. I think it was like a little thing that they have in the school, or Halloween fest. And I got in trouble, and they called my parents. And then right after was winter break. So they were like, when you come back, we'll let you know if you're suspended or not.
How is it working at a bakery?
Working at a bakery is cool, I guess. I start tomorrow, so I still do not know.
We wish you good luck. But I want to learn a little bit more about BTC. How will BTC impact communities in the Bay Area?
That's a great question. BTC will impact our communities. I think if it was everywhere, it would help us understand other cultures and other like communities in the Bay Area, because obviously this is just one kind of culture of the Bay Area, because there is many different cultures. SF is different than Pacifica. Pacifica is different than Daly City. So there's multiple cultures, and it will let us see youth's perspective from all types of lives. And that's something I think we as a community really need, and understand that young people go through different things in different areas of the world.
All right, Carlos, you got anything?
Thank you. Thank you. Talk about who is behind BTC, who organized BTC.
Can you repeat that, please?
Who is behind BTC? Like, who organized BTC at first?
So who
Who was-
organized it was Mary Beard. That's a great question. In the early 2000s, after her nephew got into a car crash, and this organization was actually something she wanted to impact youth and help youth with. Actually, Robbie was friends with Mary Beard's nephew, and he's behind the scenes. He also is very close to BTC, even though he was never part of BTC.
Thank you. Thank you for answering that. Chris, do you have any questions?
I do not have any more questions. Rick, you got any questions?
Yeah. So you joined BTC, right? Well, what groups were available, and also after that, why did you join the podcast group? Or like, yeah.
So the groups that were available is research, summit, and um, podcast and social media. Iman did social media last year, I think, and then they all are very fond about social media and all these. They've all done it before. We all done summit before, but for me, um, some podcast was very close to me because I've already done it, and I really like learning these topics, making sure that youth are heard. And I also wanted to play. I wanted to be part of the next generation of the podcast, because I started the podcast and I wanted the next generation to be heard.
That's really interesting. You guys have anything else?
Yeah, what is the main objective of BTC?
I think from my perspective is the youth to be heard, and the youth to lead other youth. I think that youth should or play a big part on leading other people that are around their age, and also impact more people around their age. If we're trying to connect to the youth as an organization, I think the best way to do that is making sure that the youth has something to say about it, because they're the ones that are getting impacted. So they should have a say on what they want in their communities, in their societies, because they are also part of that community and society.
And why do you care so much about the youth being heard?
Shocking. I'm still technically a youth. I also did not graduate high school from that long ago, and I understand how adults will probably push us aside and not listen to what we have to say, especially politically. Um, Things are happening socially, and all that. And I was very political in my high school years, still am. And I think that when us youth talk about why we agree with something or why we like something, people push us aside like we're not part of the community, and that our parents and the grown-ups in our lives only make the choices for us. And that is wrong. We make our own choices. We are human too. Like if we want to talk and we believe and we want to follow certain people, or we have a political ideology that we want to follow, that political ideology should be talking about, that idea we have should be talked about, no matter what, and people should hear our perspective as young adults. And also that young adults, if you're going to talk about young adults, we should have a say into what you guys are talking about.
Well said.
So do you think
Um,
BTC changed the way you are these days?
Can you repeat that?
Would you like me to repeat again? All right. How do you think BTC changed the way you are these days? Like back in high school, you said you were. Do you think it changed you?
It has changed me. It took a while for it to actually fully change me, to who I am today. For like 2 years of me in high school, I think a year and a half or something, until I entered COVID and stayed away from people that influenced me badly, really changed me. It really made me focus in college, really made me actually think about, like, hey, I'm an adult. Like, I actually have to think about real adult issues and pay bills and do all these stuff, and think about other things other than like having fun and all that. I think if I didn't go have BTC during COVID, I think I would have still stayed the same. And I think if I didn't have BTC, I would never have changed the way I am and became the way I am, and I wouldn't have applied to colleges.
How has
Thank you.
BTC affected your college years?
BTC has affected a lot. So when I first started college, I was still feeling like I was 16, and I thought like college is not that serious, but it is that serious because you pay for it, of course. But then over time I started taking it serious, and also it made me want to become a teacher. So that's something I think BTC has influenced me. And also it other teachers in Oceana also made me want to become a teacher. And I think that BTC made me not want to do things that a lot of college students do and that hurt them.
Well said.
I have one last question. If anybody else has any after this, well, it's not the last one. But how was Oceana like during your attendance? Like, do you think it's different from now or like more of the same?
It's
It's
definitely
definitely
different.
different.
Um, when I was in Oceana, we had different admin, and those admins really cared about their students and helped us a lot. And these people that were supposed to be looking after us changed my junior senior year, and they stopped caring about us POCs, stopped caring about us kids that keep getting in trouble. They didn't try to help us. I felt like they always wanted us to get in trouble. They always seeked us to get in trouble, never really got involved with their students as much as the other admins. And I feel like because of that switch, Oceana has changed a lot. Um, and because it changed a lot throughout the years, and all that, I think the students do not feel that security like we did when we first started, do not feel very vocal about the way we felt, very vocal and wanted to speak and wanted us to protest, because we all marched out my sophomore year. And I feel like now, because of the admin, many of them feel like they're just getting in trouble in school instead of talking, like feeling like they are students that are heard and helped.
Very interesting. So you said something about the admin, just like they like stopped caring about the students. Like, what do you think like just like motivated them to just like stop caring about the students?
I
I
don't think
don't
they
think
stopped caring. I think they more stopped caring about children's like well-beings and didn't care about like what's happening to them personally. Because when I was in high school, I had a lot of medical problems, and I didn't show up to school a lot because of those medical problems. And instead of them not helping us, instead of them giving me in trouble or being like, saying cruel things or like getting me in trouble for it. They actually worked one-on-one with me to make sure I caught up and make sure that I was fine, and actually had a meeting with my parents and school about it and everything. So when I became a junior and senior, I had less of that support from the admin. Never had a meeting with them, never talked to me personally, and I didn't even know who I was. Well, my admin did, my old admin. So I feel like when you don't want to know the students, it can hurt the students. If you're always trying to find way, like always looking at that one student, you're gonna catch them doing something wrong. And I feel like they only care about their reputation and not about the students' well-being.
I feel that. I feel that. Very
Carlos,
well
you got
said.
anything to say?
Yeah. Do you think BTC shape
So Carlos froze.
Carlos.
Oh, so
We're having some like technical difficulties. Our colleague Carlos Duarte, also known as Aqua Duarte, froze. His account is frozen. So we have him right here.
What's up,
He's
boys?
switched it. He's right here. He's right here. So Carlos, do you have any last questions?
You think shape students in any ways, like the perspective of life of what stuff they should and shouldn't do?
I do think BTC shapes people on what they can and can't do, but I feel like they do not, when they're out of this group and stuff, I feel like they don't need to hide it. If they see us in the street, don't hide it. Just be who you are. Because I rather them be who they are than hide it in front of me. Also, I think that we let a certain like if you want to be a certain way in the group, you can, in a respectful manner, of course. But I think that when they graduate and after BTC, I think they're gonna use this group as a way of growing.
Face off, like kick
All
me out
right.
of that meeting. I don't like my face.
You guys are done with
It's fine.
questions?
It's fine. So yeah, are we done with questions?
Yeah, I think we're done with questions. I think we should like.
So let's begin a conclusion. So what did we read today, Christopher?
We learned about BTC and what it is. We also learned about summits and the next summit that's going to happen. We also learned more about the podcast group and what the leader of the podcast group does outside of BTC. Do you learn anything else?
Oh,
Yeah.
let let's about the summit. When is the summit, Donia?
Um, the summit is March 18th at IBL from 11 to 2. We'll talk a little bit about it more on our next podcast, but please go. There will be many reminders around Pacifica.
Mark your calendars, all right?
Sounds good. Sounds good. And do you guys have anything else to say?
I think that was it.
Thank you for joining us
All right.
today.
Thank you for
Thank you for
joining.
joining us, Donia Awadala, bakery CEO and owner of BTC.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you.
watching.